If you were gifted $100,000 today, what would you do with the money? In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what I would do with that amount of cash. But first, let me explain why I'm doing this little thought experiment. A little while ago, I came across a Reddit thread where two twin brothers had received $100,000 each as an inheritance. One brother invested mainly in silver and some stocks and bonds, and the other brother took half of the money and put it all into Bitcoin back in 2013. Let me read you a little excerpt from the Reddit post. Here's the post. It was on the subreddit r/silverbugs, which I guess is a subreddit for people that are interested in investing in silver. The brother that posted this was the one that invested in silver, and the other twin invested in Bitcoin. This right here is the result of what happened. The silver brother says, my 30K investment into silver in 2013 is now worth about 26K, and my entire net worth is below 100K. My brother's 50K investment into Bitcoin, however, which was made within months of the same time as my silver investment, is now worth over $10 million. His wealth in Bitcoin alone is more than 100 times greater than my entire net worth. He's going to retire soon, he will be selling his house, and live as an investor. He plans to travel a lot with the wife and kids, and it seems like his life is set. The post goes on to describe how this has driven a wedge between the two brothers and how they can't even really meet at family gatherings anymore. So while this story is a little heartbreaking for me, it really highlights two things. And first of all, that investment FOMO is real, especially when it comes to the cryptocurrency market. There is always going to be some kind of random investment going 1000x, and you're never going to be able to predict what is going to skyrocket and what's going to leave you holding a massive bag. Statistically speaking, over time, it's always better to put your money into safe, steady investments rather than to try and YOLO your life savings into some moonshot. The second thing that this post really highlights for me is that comparison is the thief of joy. Now granted, compared to $10 million, 100K is not much. But objectively speaking, that's still a decent amount of money that, if invested correctly, could easily put somebody on the path to financial freedom. So what would I do today if I was gifted $100,000 to put myself on that fast track to financial freedom? Well, if you've watched some of my other content, you might think that I would YOLO it into some random crypto, but that's actually not the case. I might do a little of that, but I would definitely put less than 10% of my entire portfolio into highly risky speculative plays, and even that figure might be a little high. What I would actually do is, first of all, take $50,000 and use that to put a 10% down payment on a rental property here in Ottawa. For 50K, I could put 10% down on a townhouse or a small home worth around $500,000, and there's plenty of options to choose from. There are a few reasons why I think this would be the best and potentially the safest thing to do with that amount of money. For $50,000, I could actually use that to take advantage of historically low interest rates on mortgages and control an asset worth $500,000. With mortgage interest somewhere in the realm of 2 to 3% on a 5-year basis, that's basically free money. If I did my research well and found a place with good potential rental income, I could at least have a cash flow neutral place, if not a cash flow positive place. Because I know if you're only making a 10% down payment, it's going to be difficult to find something that's cash flow positive. Your mortgage payments are just going to be higher, and you're going to have to pay default insurance because you didn't put 20% or more down. Regardless, I think it would be feasible to find a place here that would actually break even on a monthly basis when comparing the rental income to all of the expenses. And so that means that the equity in the home would be building up and the home would appreciate in value over time. Over a 10-year period, I would expect the appreciation in the value of that home to be pretty solid. Even if there was a short-term setback in the rental market or in the housing market in Canada, Ottawa's a little bit of a bubble because there's a lot of high income and medium income earners here. So housing prices have been historically pretty stable as compared to some other places. For the second largest chunk of money, I would just take $30,000 and invest that into an S&P 500 tracking index fund. Generally speaking, the S&P 500 has returned some of the best, most stable, and safest investment returns over a long period of time. Since 90+% of investors, including professional money managers, don't actually manage to outperform the index fund, this is pretty much one of the safest bets. And even if there was a market crash, the S&P 500 index would bounce back eventually, because if it didn't, that means that essentially the American economy has failed and we're probably all screwed anyways. Next, I would take $10,000 and put that towards individual stocks and cryptocurrencies. I'd probably put $5,000 each into crypto projects and investment opportunities that I consider to be undervalued or that I think have high potential returns in the medium to long-term future. Even though I know that almost every single person that tries to pick individual stocks and investments underperforms the market, I think it's important to have a self-directed portfolio, at least for me, because I think that it satiates my desire to buy and sell and push buttons. Basically, it gives me an outlet to be engaged in the stock market without risking a significant percentage of my portfolio. And it makes me less likely to want to do anything with the larger sum of money that I'm just putting into the index fund. And the same thing goes for crypto. While I believe in the future of cryptocurrency and its potential to completely revolutionize the banking and finance industries, I don't really know which crypto is going to come out on top. And so just spreading out my bets over a couple of different picks that I think have high potential returns is probably the best way to do it for me. YOLOing a sizable amount of cash into some random altcoin though, which I know some people are actually doing right now, is basically no better than going to the casino and putting it all on a roll of the dice. Finally, I would take the last $10,000 and invest it in my business. If you're new to this channel, I'm actually trying to design a new type of pet carrier for cats and small dogs and then bring that product to market. Everything I've done so far is totally self-funded, so having an extra $10,000 would go a long way towards defraying the costs of prototyping, intellectual property, and then marketing the product when I actually launch it. Now this project here is my real moonshot. It has a really low floor, meaning that I could potentially lose everything that I've put into it, but it has a much higher ceiling than a lot of my other investments, because if it actually does succeed, it could be hugely scalable. Also, when starting a business, all of the onus and agency is on me to make it a success, and what I get out of it is going to be directly related to the amount of time, energy, and effort that I put into it. So in some ways, I'm more in control of this than I am in some of my other investments, where I'll just put money into it and then leave it and hope that it appreciates over time. If I'm going to make a huge bet on something that's really risky, I'd rather bet on myself and doing something like this rather than trying to find the next crypto rocket ship to Mars. And that is it. That is exactly how I would invest $100,000 today. What do you think? Do you agree? Let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more content about investing, personal finance, and starting a business, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.